What is going on, trainers? DrumVillain here, bringing you some more Pokemon Go PvP content, and today we're taking a look at Druddigon in the Master League Premier Classic. Now, this is the first time that the Premier Classic has actually been around since Druddigon was released a short while ago. I've been looking forward to trying it out. I did get a 100% IV Druddigon when it was dropped, which is very lucky, and then I decided to max it out. It's got an interesting moveset in having Dragon Tail, Dragon Claw and Night Slash, which reminds me a little bit of Haxorus, but slightly different shift to being dragon damage oriented rather than Haxorus's counter damage orientation. So it sounds pretty interesting to give a go. Now on paper it doesn't look that good for the Master League Premier Classic. If you're familiar with PvPoke and their resources for assessing the metas of different cups, which I do recommend checking out if you haven't before, I'll put a link down below. It's not very highly rated. It's ranked over 140th best choice for Master League Premier Classic, which is pretty low. It's not got a very strong showing in any role. It's not a particularly strong lead, safe switch or closer. So we figured we'll put it on the lead since we're going to be showcasing it and just see what we can do with it and see if it is as bad as the simulations say, or if it's like some of the niche cases where it has a lot more play than you would initially think. So I'm not going to lie to you guys, I did lose about 200 elo trying to make this Pokemon work. So if you enjoyed the content, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, helps me out massively, and pay respects to my sacrificed rankings for this Pokemon. And let's take a look at the PvPoke assessment. It is right down there at 146 and only really picks up wins against things that it's got type advantages against, picks like Chandelure, Swampert, Electivire, and against the hard meta picks it really does look to be struggling. And at 146, that doesn't mean it's not got any use, but unless it's got play against some of the more meta choices, it's really going to struggle. It doesn't have a great deal of extra play in any particular role. It's not rated very highly as a lead, a safe switch, or as a closer. So I'm just going to put it on the lead since we are showcasing it, see what leads we come up against, and just see how much work it can put in. Seeing as it's outputting dark and dragon damage, fairies are its biggest concern. It's not going to be able to do really anything against those fairies like Togekiss and Sylveon. So we're going to pair it up with two steel types, and that's going to be Magnezone and Excadrill. And the main reason for this is because if we run into a Togekiss Lead, that means they're going to have an absolutely hard Metagross counter in the back, and Excadrill and Magnezone have a little bit more versatility in what they can handle compared to Metagross against hard counters. So I'm going to show you guys a few battles, some wins, some losses, and hopefully give you guys an idea of Druddigon's place in the meta, what it can and can't do, in case you're ever thinking about running one, or if you want to try one in a team and what you think it might work well with it. And no lie, this was the first lead I ran into, and it was an Excadrill, and I very quickly realised that I didn't balance this team out particularly well, and I might have overcompensated a little bit for the idea of charm leads, because Excadrill pretty much beats everything on the team. It's resisting the dragon damage from Druddigon, it absolutely walls Magnezone, and against our Excadrill it'll have a slight energy advantage if we did swap in, and it's going to be able to one-shot us with a draw run if it decides to commit the shields in and play that matchup out. So we decided to stay in, and as you can see, the drill run hits like an absolute truck. Druddigon is very squishy in the Master League Premier Classic. A neutral drill run absolutely smashes it to pieces. We were almost at risk of being farmed down entirely after taking just one drill run, which is absolutely bananas. And if you're looking for an initial gauge on how many hits that thing can take, that should give you your answer right there. So we have no choice, but we let Druddigon go down. We bring in Excadrill and go for a very aggressive farm with our Excadrill and just hope that we can sweep the rest of the game with all of that energy. They actually have a waterfall Gyarados they bring in, which isn't brilliant for us, but we are going to grab both shields with two rock slides since we got so much farm against their Excadrill. Now we're going to swap straight to Magnezone. We don't throw the wild charge straight away, which is a little unfortunate because this lets them throw a crunch, which is going to do a nice big chunk of damage to us, whereas we could have thrown the wild charge straight away, avoided that damage, and then it wouldn't have mattered that our defense was lowered as much because we'd have had much more health to take a few hits. They do have a Togekiss in the back, and this is actually going to pay off for us because we're going to be able to get this off, do monstrous damage, and we're going to be able to finish them off with Excadrill before they get to a move to take us out. Even Mudshot farm down. GG. If you guys can hear some wind in the background of my commentary, by the way, I apologise about that. We are currently in a storm in the UK, and this is probably the quietest space I've got when the wind is actually the quietest, which is hard to believe, but it is pretty nasty out there. Alright, next lead is actually a positive one, and that is Waterfall Gyarados, and that's because you're going to be resisting that waterfall damage. It's going to take them a while to get to any move that's going to be particularly threatening, like Crunch or Outrage, so you're actually in a pretty positive situation. The opponent does choose to swap out and bring in their own Excadrill, which again we don't actually have a good answer for. We certainly can't bring Magnezone into this, and our Excadrill will be behind on energy, so we would have a very bad time in this matchup. So we're just going to stay in with our Druddigon and start throwing Night Slashers, hopefully chip them down, maybe get them low enough to where our Excadrill can farm them down. We do get a shield out of them, which is nice, but we did actually have to shield first. Excadrill does outpace Druddigon to charge moves just slightly. I believe it's 10 turns for Excadrill to get to a Drill Run or a Rock Slide, and it's 12 turns for Druddigon to get to a Dragon Claw or a Night Slash. So we do get the Excadrill low, and we can bring in ours and start farming down. They're going to swap out aggressively to their Gyarados and throw an Aqua Tail that they've built up. We're down shields, so we're going to have to take this, and it does big damage. That's really unfortunate that we weren't able to catch on Magnezone. And now it's got more energy to throw at us. We're going to take this. At least it won't KO us, and we can farm down entirely, but their Excadrill does have some health left, and Magnezone certainly cannot farm down. We get a monstrous lag spike. Magnezone goes down. We don't even know what happened. It's just gone, and we're going to just lose this game. I don't think we'd have had a chance at winning anyway, but it's a little frustrating. So we're just going to go jump straight into the next matchup, and we've got a Mamoswine on the lead. And again, this is one that I'm not super equipped to deal with. The ice damage is going to be putting a lot of pressure on Druddigon, so we decide to swap straight to Excadrill, just hoping that they decide to stay in and play out this matchup. They do decide to stay in, and at this point, you're going to notice I actually start throwing Rock Slides instead of Drill Run, even though Drill Run is the stronger move. And that's because at this health level now, either move will KO the Mamoswine, and I'm half expecting this opponent to swap out into something to catch a Drill Run, which would probably be a flying type, so that they wouldn't have to shield the Drill Run. So in that situation, it makes sense to throw the Rock Slides just in case, because then you'd still do big damage to whatever they did swap out to, but they are choosing to stay in and play out this matchup, which I don't mind at all. It means we're going to be able to get this Mamoswine very low, and ideally farm them down with Druddigon and see what they've got in the back. Let's just pray they don't have a Charmer back there, because that is going to completely wall us. It's actually a Dragon Breath Gyarados, and we're going to throw a Dragon Claw, which I guess we just get to see how much that it does. We've seen a couple land on Gyarados at this point. We swap out to Magnezone, and they've got a Metagross in the back, and this Metagross is going to be able to go straight for Earthquake and take us out. So we decide to throw the Wild Charge before they do get that off, and I think at this point the opponent makes a mistake and throws a Meteor Mash, which is double resisted. It's not going to be enough to take us out, even though we have double debuffed our defense, and we want to build up extra energy to get to a Wild Charge against the Gyarados. We get a little greedy, we misjudge, they get to a second Meteor Mash anyway and take us out. And now Druddigon has an energy advantage against the Gyarados, but we do need to get 2 Dragon Claws off to take it out. We've not got the health. The Dragon Breath is really chipping away at us here. And honestly, we could have had less, we could have done less farm on the Metagross, thrown the Wild Charge, and just the Sparks would have added up and made that much difference and probably given us that win. Alright, jumping into matchup number 4, and we've got the Nightmare lead. It's Togekiss. Can the team do what I hoped it'd be able to do and take switch advantage? We swap out to Magnezone because both Excadrill and Magnezone make good safe swaps, but I felt like teams might be slightly more underprepared for a Magnezone safe swap with a Togekiss lead, and it looks like the opponent was, because they blind swapped looking at it straight into a Gyarados, which is not a particularly good matchup. Against Magnezone, you can see just the Sparks alone are doing monstrous damage. We managed to bait them with a Mirror Shot, and now we can go for double Wild Charge because we will survive enough waterfalls to get to the second one, take them out. We've got switch advantage, we've got shield advantage, we can put Excadrill against the Togekiss, and hopefully with a shield advantage, Druddigon's going to be able to handle whatever's left in the back. It's a Snorlax, so this is going to be a pretty neutral matchup. This does, according to the simulations, go in Snorlax's favour, but we do have that extra shield. Although we're probably going to save it for the Excadrill, just because Excadrill's the win condition anyway against Togekiss. We don't really want to preserve the Druddigon, and it shows an outrage, good lord. That's absolutely going to one-shot Druddigon. I feel like the body slams do massive chunks to Druddigon. We'll be showing that a little bit later on, but trust me, Snorlax can just go for double body slam and take out a Druddigon all the same. The outrage is definitely overkill there. Now we're going to go for a Drill Run, take out the Snorlax. We've got quite a bit of energy left. We can just go for double rock slide here before the Togekiss makes it to a flamethrower, take it out, and then hopefully farm down the Snorlax. We might push us luck here. No, we decided to go straight for the throw. We kind of lost count on how much energy the Togekiss had. Wanted to take it out, didn't want to gamble it, get into a move, because we should be able to farm down this Snorlax nice and easy. GG. Now, we didn't actually take many wins at all with this team, but managing to take a win against the Togekiss Lead, at least the Steel Say swaps are doing exactly what we needed them to do. Right, Garchomp lead with Dragon Tail is, I want to say it's neutral, but it's not. Look at how much more damage we're taking compared to them, because Garchomp just has much more bulk and attack power to really chip us down. They have to shield the Dragon Claw, but then they can just farm us down entirely, and now that Garchomp back there is loaded. They swap out into Warrain, and we're tempted to stay in this matchup, even though Magnezone gets absolutely walled by Garchomp. So really we should swap in this situation and spend the Magnezone, but we're feeling like, oh, maybe there's something in the back that Magnezone has a good matchup against. Maybe they're trying to bait out our Magnezone, and then maybe Magnezone can sweep. But we still have to worry about that Garchomp that does still have energy, so we really did need to preserve the Excadrill here, and we should have just spent the Magnezone on the Warrain and hoped that Excadrill will be able to sweep the endgame. Garchomp's going to come back in here. They're going to be able to take us out. Well, we can shield this up if we want to, but we can't really afford to, and it actually takes out Excadrill. They've got a Magnezone Mirror Match. They got some health on Garchomp left in the back. There's nothing we can do here. We just surrender. Yeah, we'll let that go. GG. If we had have actually brought Magnezone into the Warrain when they swapped out, Excadrill probably could have swept the game for us there, because it does do very well against Magnezone, whereas Magnezone Mirror Matches are just very, very neutral. Okay, let's take a look at the Snorlax matchup. As we've said, this is it should be neutral on paper, especially typing-wise, but honestly, again, you're really going to struggle against the overwhelming stats of Snorlax. It's got insane bulk, it can take hits all day long. The licks are adding up faster than they really showed. The body slams do massive damage, about a third of Druddigon's health there. So the pressure's on. They don't even have to shield these Dragon Claws. They can let this one go and can still take us out here. They do let it go. We're going to get them reasonably low, but we are going to lose this matchup, and they can farm us down entirely. That is mad. Snorlax being able to throw one body slam and farm me down for energy is absolutely crazy. We have to shield Excadrill because we were expecting a superpower, and they don't throw it through a body slam. We're going to let this one go. We're going to hope it's just a body slam, which it is. Thank the Lord. Maybe it was running something like Outrage instead. In the background, they didn't have the energy. But now they've got a Sirfetch'd. They bring in, this opponent's bringing some nice spice to the Master League Premier Classic, and this is very, very bad news for us because we've got double steel in the back. Sirfetch'd is rather spammy, so we're going to throw this drill run, we're going to swap straight to Magnezone and try and get to a wild charge to take it out, and then just see what we can do in the end game here. We should be able to survive one charge move regardless of what it is, but we are going to shield up because we hoped that we'd be able to shield that, get the wild charge off, and they wouldn't throw another move, even though we knew they did have a lot of energy. But we're going to take one Night Slash. Doesn't annihilate us, which is pleasant. Does a big chunk because Magnezone's pretty squishy and Sirfetch'd is pretty attack oriented. And now we've got another Magnezone mirror match, and the only way we're going to win is get into a draw run on our Excadrill. They throw a mirror shot, which takes us out, and they're going to be able to get to another move before we get there because we left Excadrill energy dry, and a wild charge, even though it's double resisted, will take us out, and that's going to be a good game. Alright, we've got a couple of matchups left for you guys, and these are two games that we actually do manage to win, and in this game it might seem obvious why. Chandelure on the lead, putting out Incinerate, fast move damage is not going to do very much to Druddigon at all, whereas you're putting out pretty good neutral damage with the Dragon Tails. We have a huge lag spike that suddenly decides to catch up all at once. A bunch of Incinerates come through, a bunch of Dragon Tails go through on them. We get a Night Slash off, it does force a shield because that would absolutely smash Chandelure to pieces, especially at that much health that it had left. They decide to swap out into a Snorlax, and we're going to bring in Excadrill, and this isn't a particularly solid matchup either way. Snorlax can threaten big damage with Superpower or Earthquake, whereas we can do big damage with the draw runs. They can survive one at this range, even though they debuff themselves, but we are quite spammy. We should get to another before they throw another move, and this either makes them use their second shield, or it's going to take them out and give us switch advantage. They let the Snorlax go down. Chandelure is going to come in and be able to do some work here because they can throw Flame Charge. It will take us out, And the only good thing about this situation is that we've still got Druddigon against the Chandelure, so unless they get to something like a Shadow Ball, they're not going to be able to take us out here. And I think we're going to let this go and gamble that it's just another Flame Charge. It is, and it does a big chunk, but that was a boosted Flame Charge. And we were already, you know, starting to have our health chipped away, so that's a fairly comfortable move to take in most situations. And they've actually got a Tangrowth in the back. We bring out Magnezone and the opponent surrenders. Now, that was a pretty spicy team for the opponent, so shout out to them, and really, probably the only reason that we're able to take that win is because they were going for the spice, let's be honest. I definitely do respect the spice though. So, last matchup, and we've got one more Snorlax lead to play out. And you're going to see that I kind of fell into a pattern with Druddigon, and that is pretty much just using it up, seeing how much work it can put in, and then just putting all my chips on the double steal in the back and letting them carry the team. They are absolutely the only reason I won any games with this team is because of how good Magnezone and Excadrill can be against the right Pokemon and in the right matchups. I don't think we had really, I think the Chandelure is probably the only positive matchup I saw when running Druddigon. Everything else is kind of like a losing neutral matchup or a pretty punishing losing matchup. I think if we had a meta where some of the more common Master League picks were banned, things like Dragonite and Metagross and Togekiss, I think Druddigon would have a lot of play because it really does just struggle against these top contenders that really just have way too many stats for Druddigon to deal with. So we're going to play out this Excadrill v Snorlax matchup, throw these draw runs, see what they want to do. We do get both shields of them at this point, which is kind of crazy, so I'm expecting this to be a superpower, which it is. Good shield there. Was a fairly obvious fact that they were going to go for that, just because they committed their last shield, so they would only do that if they were going to have a threatening move to throw at the Excadrill. They swap out to Gyarados, we bring in the Magnezone. We're going to build up a bit of excess energy before we take them out, and hopefully we can get to a Mirror Shot to finish off the Snorlax before it throws any energy at us. If it does come back in, it does. We're actually going to go for the Wild Charge. We're not sure how much the Mirror Shot will do. We know it's weaker than Wild Charge, and I'm not super familiar with Magnezone's Master League matchups. To be honest, it's not my most familiar Pokemon to use. They've got a Metagross in the back. The throw Wild Charge does big damage. Our switch timer's up. We can swap in Excadrill, go for the combo, get that draw run off, and smash this Metagross to pieces and take the win. GG. And that is the rough gist of how Druddigon plays in the Master League Premier Classic. It really only wins in positive typing matchups, which there aren't many in this meta in the Master League Premier Classic. It doesn't have the bulk to keep up in neutral matchups, even though it has potential with a solid moveset. It's just not really big enough to be competitive, and unless they bring in, like I said, a kind of overused meta where they ban the top 20 most used Pokemon, then it might have play, but until then I really do not recommend that you build a Druddigon for the Master League. It's just not worth the resources, and it's just not worth the stress of trying to make it work. But I hope you enjoyed this video. If you do enjoy the content, hit the like button if you want to see more videos, and check out the Johto Cup that's going to be coming up next week. Hit that subscribe button, and I will catch all you absolute legends next time.